Greetings from Chicagoland. You're listening to Munira's Musings, where your host Munira will showcase new guests each week to share exciting details about the journey to their niches. As we like to say, the riches are in the niches. And on this show, we'll share ideas on how to break through our invisible boundaries so we can start taking steps towards our dreams and create the life that we most desire. If you're passionate about impacting lives, then this podcast will give you some great ideas and equip you with the tools to quickly grow your business. Okay, let's get started with today's show. Here's your host, Munira.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira from Munira's Musings, the niche navigator, coming to you live with another exceptional guest. Our guest today is Jack Spear. He has a different name and he has a very interesting niche. He's a movie maker and he lives in Las Vegas. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Munira. How are you today?
Never say those words on a plane, right?
I know. Don't. If you see me at the airport, don't say that. Hi, Jack. Yes.
Well, so we bring these episodes to you, listeners, so that we know that you have an entrepreneurial bug in your system. And sometimes those people have tried or are still thinking about trying to get into the entrepreneurial sea, and you haven't jumped in yet. So these stories, these interviews are the ones that we bring to you so that you have that bug, or if you haven't caught it, then you catch the bug and you see where this is going to take you. Our guest today, again, I said, our guest today is a movie maker, but he has a very interesting history. And I was fascinated when I first heard him. So Jack, how are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Munira, thank you for asking me to be a part of your podcast. Great opportunity, and I appreciate it very much. A little about me: I am disabled. I get around these days on a electric mobility scooter, and I have been disabled since I was a year old. I had a terrible disease as a child called spinal meningitis, and back in those days, when I had it at a year old, virtually nobody survived. And fortunately, the medical folks where I was taken had an experimental procedure. They did it, and ta-da, here I am. So my story is, throughout my life, I grew up with 5 siblings, and my mom used to call us the 6-pack of kids, and she would refer to me as the dented can because I had a disability. But I never let my disability stop me. Throughout my life, I've been able to just do whatever I want. I'll give you some examples. When I was in high school, I swam very, very well. Even though I could not use my legs, I was on the varsity swimming team for all the years that I was in high school. And I like to brag that I was the only one of my 3 brothers and me that actually got a high school letter. So I like to brag about that.
Awesome.
But, I know it was great. But so then, just growing up, just doing stuff. I have a pilot's license. I have an instructor rating. I'm a scuba diver, certified scuba diver for 22 years. Excuse me. For 22 years, I was a reserve deputy sheriff, and which was kind of interesting because in those days I was up on crutches. I used crutches and a leg brace, and I was able to participate as a reserve deputy sheriff. I worked for the federal government for my whole career, and I retired from NASA. Have you heard of NASA?
No. What is that?
It's just a little small startup company. But, so
Startup company that goes to the moon?
I know, yeah, just just a little something they do on the side on the weekends. But I retired from NASA. I was married for 44 years. My wife and we met in high school, and after high school we got married and we stayed together for the next 44 years. Unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago, but I'm still surviving and having a great time. we have two children, two boys that we raised, and now I have three grandkids. And I know you and I were talking earlier about grandkids. That is the biggest joy ever is when you have grandkids. I jokingly say that the only reason my sons are alive is because we knew that they would give us awesome grandchildren, so we let them live.
That is so awesome.
I know.
Okay, this is such a wonderful conversation. So
Thank you.
you've gone through life with a disability. What have a pilot's license. Most people in their life would think, I can't do this. I am not up to par. Did you ever have these thoughts?
No, from an early age, I looked at obstacles as a challenge. How can I get around that obstacle, through that obstacle, under or over that obstacle? So no, I mean, I had challenges, and sometimes they were a little bit difficult. I'll give you an example. When I wanted to learn how to fly, they said I couldn't because I couldn't manipulate the foot controls for the airplane. And initially I said, oh, okay. But then I got to thinking about it, and I found an instructor, and he said, I can teach you how to fly. And so we did. And an interesting part of that is it wasn't until the fourth or fifth lesson that he shared with me that he had an artificial leg. So I just happened to be found the right instructor at the right time. But as far as challenges go, I've had challenges. I just learned how to be a problem solver, learn how to get around them. There's always a way, Munira, to get around an obstacle. You can't let them say no to you. No, in my life, no does not exist. It's okay. How can I do that? But yeah, so that's
Many times I've met so many different people, and many times when somebody tells you no, especially also to me, it's like a no, a hard no. When you say you overcame, and I am more interested in your mindset right now, because that's where you just took me there, and I'm gravitating there. But one of the things that you said was you had to figure out a way. Was there a mentor, a sibling, a parent that always encouraged you to figure out a way, or was it just all you? And how did you get into this thinking?
I'm glad you asked that question, because that's why I'm doing what I am doing now. We'll talk about the movie and other things I'm doing. But I had no role models when I was growing up. Back in those days, in the 50s and the 60s, if you had a disability, you were pretty much kind of put away in an institution or a facility. And my parents didn't allow that to happen. So I had no role model. So I had to basically blaze my own way. And that kind of taught me that if you want to do something, you just go out there and do it. You may not do it the way everybody else does, but you'll get it done if you put your heart and your mind to it. So where I am now, Munira, is I want to be a role model or an inspiration to other folks that have disabilities, especially and including disabled vets. They go off and they fight for their country and they get injured, and they come back and they might be missing limbs or whatever, and they're thinking that their lives are over. Well, I want to be an inspiration or a role model to them that no, if you want to do something, you can do it. Don't just feel sorry for yourself and lay there. Get out there and do what you want to do. So that's kind of what's motivating me to do. Like we'll talk about the movie and the other things that I've been doing. But yeah, it's all mind over matter is what I call it.
That's the one thing that I think kids of today don't have, right? We are in the AI right now, in the AI information age. Information technology, AI we've got so much, but yet you find others that are disabled because here they haven't got it. Disabled not physically, but disabled because they don't put their mind to work for them. You talked about your movie. What inspired the movie? How did you, you're retired NASA, you've got grandkids, you could be sitting and playing with them. Why a movie at this time in your life?
Well, after I retired, my wife, after a couple of years, she said, you have to get out of the house and go do something. And so I'd always been the the class disruptor or the funny guy, or whatever. So I decided that I would get into stand-up comedy. And so I did. For the last 10 years, I've been doing, I don't call it stand-up comedy because for me, it's sit-down comedy because I'm sitting on my mobility scooter. But so I decided to do that. And at one point, I hired a new manager to take my comedy career to the next level. And so just he would put me on the week. Every week he would put me on the phone with somebody else, like producers, actors, comedians. And one week he put me on the phone with a Hollywood director named Mark Savage. And Mark said after our conversation, "Hey, send me your headshot and your biography." And so I did. And then he said, "We should do a movie with you in it." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, this is Hollywood talk. This ain't never going to happen. So I thought, okay, yeah, sure. Well, 3 months later, he and the producer and me are sitting in my living room writing the script for this movie. So I got offered the lead role in the movie. And so I got to be I acted as the executive producer, one of the co-writers, and the star of the movie. It's called Hell's Coming for You. And it was an incredible experience. I never in a million years thought that I would be in front of a camera somewhere acting and performing a role. But oh my God, Munira, it was absolutely an incredible experience to do that.
So, right people, right opportunities, and you never say no. Is
Yeah.
that something that you do? You just never say no to anything?
You can't say no because you'll miss an opportunity. What if I'd have said no to Mark Savage? Yeah, well, that sounds like a good deal, but that's not for me. I would have never had the experience of actually being in a full-length motion picture as the lead character of it. But you can't say no. You have to get out there, and even if it's outside your box of normalcy, you gotta think outside the box and do weird. I shouldn't say weird things, but do things that are not necessarily what you thought you might be doing. You'd be surprised. It's great.
Right, you talk about boxes, right? Think outside the box, but I think we put ourselves in our box.
Yes.
We just do. There's no box. We just put ourselves in our box, and then we tell ourselves all our lives to take ourselves out of this box that we put ourselves into. I love the fact that you are doing a lot of mindset training. And what's this movie about? Just give me one liner. Is this something about mindset, courage?
No, it's an action movie with a love interest, action. There's all kinds of stuff. Basically, the storyline is I play a disabled bounty hunter who is retiring, and through a sequence of events, I got betrayed by some of the closest people in my life. And so basically it's a story of revenge and a vendetta to right that wrong. So there's a lot of action. There's things blowing up, and it's just it's a lot of fun. It was really fun. We shot it here in Las Vegas.
Where can people find this movie?
You can find the movie on Amazon, Google, YouTube, or Tubi. And I encourage everybody to go watch it. I'm so proud of it because there are no other actually disabled folks playing a lead role in a full-length motion picture. And so just for that aspect, I'm really proud of the movie. It's gotten some great reviews. I also wanted to mention that if your listeners do watch the movie, leave us a review, because that's how we calibrate. And kind of figure out what we're going to do for our next movie by how well this one is accepted.
Oh, so there's a next movie too.
Oh, yes, there has to be, because when you watch the movie, there's a lot of unanswered questions like, how did this happen? And why did that happen? And so, yeah, and we kind of did that on purpose so that we would do another movie to answer those questions.
That's an awesome way to do this. Okay, so that's perfect. Now, so how do people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Dillion Dilligaf. It's spelled a little bit differently. It's Dillion, Dillion, Dilligaf, Dilligaf. and I'm out on Facebook and Instagram. And just go out there and follow me. You'll have a great time. I try to do content videos a couple times a week, and just some fun stuff that that I enjoy doing, and people get a big kick out of it. So come and follow me, yeah, and follow the movie too at Hell's Coming for You. You can follow the movie there as well.
What message do you want others to take from you, from this podcast?
From this podcast, don't take no for an answer. If there's something that you want to do, commit yourself to doing it, and just go and do it. The things that I shared with you are just some of the major things that I've done. I don't take no for an answer. If you tell me no, what I hear is, oh yeah, you can do that. And I really want to instill upon your listeners, just do that. Don't take no for an answer. If I did that, I'd be sitting in a facility somewhere for disabled people. No, here I am. I live by myself. I have 3 cats. I have an active life. My calendar is incredibly busy. And if I had said no, I'd just be sitting in a little rocking chair somewhere watching Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud. I don't want to do that. So yeah, just don't take no for an answer. That's the bottom line right there.
I hope Steve Harvey doesn't feel bad, but yeah.
No, gosh, no, God, no. I love it. I love those programs, but I put it on the DVR and I watch it when I have a chance. But I don't want to sit there and have that. But you know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean. I'm just being serious. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. See, you have what it takes to take yourself to the next level. And when I met Mr. Spear for the first time, I was blown away. And I remember telling him that you've done more than other people who are normal have done. I mean, get a pilot's license and stand-up comedy. We all dream about doing such things, but we've never done it because we limit ourselves. And part of it is we put ourselves in this little box and say, I'm not going to do this until I'm perfect or whatever. So I don't think you are perfect, but I just think that the fact that you are taking the next step and going forward and making these traction in your life, where you're not sitting in a rocking chair somewhere and watching the programs on TV, on reruns, but you're taking action and doing something that really life, this is called living life. That's what I call it. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, take lessons from my friend here, because when I heard his story, I was like, you have to be on my show. You have to listen to people. He doesn't have a particular niche. He's worked at NASA, for God's sakes. I mean, we all wanted to work at NASA. I was never able to find a job there. But the thing is, we all have aspirations, no matter how aspired you are or what your aspirations are. Just go do it. It may not be perfect, but don't take no for an answer, because those are the limitations you place on yourself. If you'd like to see him, go follow him on Instagram under Dillion Dilligaf. We'll put that in the show notes, and go ahead and take your life to the next level. Thank you so much, Mr. Spear, for being here, and everybody else. We'll see you next week with another guest. Until then, have a good week.
Thank you, Munira. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Munira's Musings. We hope that you found today's conversation inspiring and useful, so that you can continue making progress towards mastering your own niche. Please tune in next week for another episode, and in the meantime, you can follow us on social media at Munira's Musings on Facebook, and leave us a review wherever you're listening to podcasts. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.